The definition: it is an involuntary loss of urine from the bladder sufficient to cause a social or the hygienic problem. There are some terminologies that we all should know. First, what is the frequency? When the patient considers she voids too often by day, nocturia, waking at night one or more times to void. What is urgency? It is a strong desire to void urine due to involuntary contractions of the bladder muscles, and it is the hallmark of the UTI. Urge incontinence: it is involuntary leakage accompanied by or immediately preceded by the urgency. Stress incontinence: in this, there is an involuntary loss of urine due to increased intra-abdominal pressure but without the detrusor muscles contraction, like in the sneezing, coughing, laughing or exertion. Nocturnal enuresis: in this, there is a loss of urine occurring during the sleep. Now, what are the causes of the urinary incontinence? Either there is a urethral incontinence or the non-urethral incontinence. Urethral incontinence includes the urethral abnormalities, bladder abnormalities and non-urinary abnormalities. Non-urethral incontinence include urinary fistula or the urethral ectopia. Urethral abnormalities may be due to the pelvic fracture, post-prostatectomy, multiparity or the difficult delivery. Bladder abnormalities may be due to the cystitis, bladder stones, bladder tumors, detrusor muscle neuropathy, and the non-urinary abnormalities include impaired mobility. Now, the classification of the urinary incontinence include stress incontinence, urge incontinence, mixed incontinence, and the overflow incontinence. This is the diagram that shows the overflow, stress, and the urge incontinence. In the overflow incontinence, there is an over distension of the bladder, either due to the outlet obstruction like the urethral blockage or due to the detrusor muscles underactivity. In the stress incontinence, there is an involuntary loss of urine due to increased intra-abdominal pressure but without the detrusor muscles contraction. It is most common in the young woman and it is due to the pelvic floor muscles weakening resulting in the urethral hypermobility that causes the urethral sphincter incompetent. Then the urge incontinence. Urge incontinence, also known as detrusor overactivity or the overactive bladder. In this, there is an involuntary detrusor contraction during the filling phase which may be spontaneous or provoked. The stress incontinence. As we have already discussed, there is an involuntary loss of urine when the intra-abdominal pressure exceeds the urethral pressure, like in the sneezing, coughing, laughing and the exertion. And in this, the urethral sphincter becomes incompetent. Risk factors include multiparity, particularly the vaginal birth, as there is a pelvic floor muscles weakening, forceps delivery, perineal trauma, long labor, if the birth weight is more than 4 kg, increasing age, post-menopause, connective tissue disorder, chronic cough, and there are some antihypertensive drugs that causes the relaxation of the urethral sphincter like the doxazosin. Urge incontinence. In this, there is a strong desire to void followed by involuntary loss of urine. Risk factor includes the obesity, smoking, previous hysterectomy, and the previous continence surgery. Mixed incontinence. It is the characteristics of both the urge incontinence and the stress incontinence, and it is common in women overall. Overflow incontinence. It is due to over distension of the bladder. In this there is a frequent or constant dribbling, either due to the outlet obstruction or the detrusor underactivity, including the multiple sclerosis, spinal cord injury, or the diabetic neuropathy. In the overflow incontinence, the post-void residual volume is often elevated. Now, the clinical presentation of the urinary incontinence starts from the history that includes the biodata, presenting complaint, history of presenting complaint, past medical history, past surgical history, and then the gynecological history. In the gynecological history, we ask for the history of prolapse. In the obstetrical history, we inquire about the parity, perineal trauma, prolonged labor, and the forceps delivery. Urological problems include frequency, urgency, and the leakage. Neurological problems include the multiple sclerosis, endocrine disorders, and the drug history. There are some drugs that causes the urge incontinence, like the diuretics and the alcohol. Some of the drugs causes the overflow incontinence, like the sedatives, antidepressant, and the anticholinergic. However, the narcotics causes the mixed incontinence, and the AC inhibitors causes the stress incontinence. Remember to be alert for the red flag sign. What is the red flag sign? It suggests the malignancy, and it includes the significant pain, hematuria, and the rectal bleeding. Now the clinical examination. First of all, start from the general physical examination. After taking the vitals, subvitals, and the physical appearance of the patient, you should take the BMI and inquire about the mental status of the patient. Then we move on the abdominal examination. On the inspection, we look for the surgical scars and the evidence of the obesity. In the pelvic examination, we assess for the large fibroid uterus or the ovarian cyst, as it causes the pressure symptoms on the bladder. Then the investigations. After the baseline investigation, we move on the specific investigations, like the midstream urine sample. It is the urine test to detect the blood glucose, nitrites, proteins, and the leukocytes to exclude the overt infection or the asymptomatic bacteriuria. Then there is a frequency volume chart or the patient bladder diary for the 3 days. Its objective for the assessment of intake and the output. In the patient bladder diary, we record the amount, type, and the frequency of drinks taken, and to record the timing, frequency, and the volume of voids. Then the PET test. It is to confirm the diagnosis of the urinary incontinence but not the cause. In this, patient wears one or more pre-weight sanitary pads for a variable length of time between 1 hour in the clinic and 24 hours at home while performing the activity of daily living like the hand washing, climbing the stairs, and the cuffing. Then we perform the pelvic and the renal tract ultrasound. When there is a history of pelvic pain, there is a recurrent UTI, bladder pain, hematuria, and there is a suspicion of pelvic mass, we perform the pelvic or the renal tract ultrasound. There are some specific urodynamic investigations that includes the uroflowmetry. It is a measurement of urine flow rate, exclude the presence of outflow obstruction or the hypotonic bladder. Then there is a cystometry. It is a measurement of relationship between the bladder pressure and the volume. It differentiates between the stress incontinence and the overactive bladder. Then there is a subtractive cystometry. In this, catheter mounted solid state micro tip pressure transducers, and it is normal in the stress incontinence. How we calculate the reducer pressure? Bladder pressure minus the abdominal pressure. This is the diagram that shows the how we perform the subtracted cystometry. In this, a fine pressure catheter is placed in the bladder through the urethra and a second catheter in the rectum. Bladder filled with the normal saline while pressure recordings are made with the patient sitting on the cupboard that records the leakage. During the filling, the patient is asked to declare the onset of the bladder filling sensation, that is usually around the 150 ml volume, a strong desire to void around 350 ml, and the onset of urgency up to 500 ml. When the urgency is reported, filling is stopped and the patient performs various actions to provoke the leakage or the detrusor contractions. Now, the management of the stress incontinence. We first of all offer the conservative management, that is a fluid balance. It should be between 1.5 liter to 2.5 liter. Then avoid the carbonated drinks, reduction of the caffeine intake, and there is a bladder retraining. In this, pelvic floor muscle training is combined with a form of bladder drill. Bladder drill involves re-educating the patient and her bladder to increase the interval between the void to re-establish the normal frequency. And the last is pelvic floor muscle exercise, that is a Kegel exercises. Medical management. In the medical management of the stress incontinence, we offer the duloxetine. It is a combined serotonin and noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor, and it increases the sphincter tone. Then the surgical management. Surgical management of the stress incontinence, it is mostly offered for the management of the stress incontinence, that is the Birch-Kolper suspension, mid-urethral tape procedures, and the periurethral injections. In the periurethral injections, basically they bulk up the bladder neck and coat the urethral mucosa to prevent the leakage. This is the diagram of that shows a burst colpo suspension. In this, a retropubic space is opened by the phalansteal incision in the abdomen and the bladder reflected medially on each side to allow the placement of 2 or 3 sutures into the paravaginal fascia on each side at the level of the neck of the bladder. Long-term complication of the burst colpo suspension is posterior vaginal wall prolapse due to lifting of the anterior vaginal wall. This is the diagram that shows the mid-urethral tapes, that is a TVT and the TOT. The TVT, as you can see, it lies under the mid-urethra and in the retropubic space between the pelvis and the bladder. The introducing trocar pass through the urogenital diaphragm and the rectus sheath. The TOT, that is a transobturator tape, lies in a more horizontal position under the mid-urethra and exit through the obturator foramen, piercing the obturator muscle and the adductor longus tendon in the thigh. TVT stands for tension-free vaginal tape. Now, the management of overactive bladder. We mostly offer the medical management for the overactive bladder that includes the anticholinergic and the beta-3 adrenergic agonist. Anticholinergic involves oxybutynine, solifenacin, fesotirodine, trospium, propivarin, and in the beta-3 adrenergic agonist includes the mirabegron, as all these inhibit the detrusor contractions. Surgical management of the overactive bladder includes the botulinum toxin, that is a Botox. It causes the flaccid paralysis in the treated muscles. It is a single intramuscular injection injected in the multiple sites across the dome of the bladder, administered via the cystoscope. Second is a sacral neuromodulation. In this, low amplitude electrical stimulation by the sacral nerve, usually through the ST foramen, and it is a type of medical electrical stimulation therapy for the overactive bladder. Thank you.